He doesn't give me anything. He doesn't help at home. He doesn't help me with home chores. He doesn't clean. He doesn't cook. I think he doesn't love me anymore. She never says she loves me. I think she just has another man. So do you think that you don't love each other anymore? Do you think that your love is lost and it's forever somewhere else and you cannot bring it back from the grave? Is your love truly lost when you feel unloved? Let's find out. Hello friends and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about what to do when we don't feel loved in our relationships. I have really good news for you. In most cases, love can be revived. What do we need for it? You may ask. In this book called 5 Love Languages, Dr. Gary Chapman explains his observations. He was leading couples therapy and he explains that he found out that everybody has one of 5 love languages as a primary love language. And if their loved ones speak a different love language, they might feel that they are actually unloved. And this actually goes for a lot of relationships, but right now we are going to talk about couples. Love, according to Dr. Gary Chapman, is a choice. You might feel that you are a loving person, but when the other person has a different love language, they might actually think that you don't love them. So what is it about, the 5 love languages? It kind of means that everybody has a different primary love language, and it's the same as if a Chinese person and English-speaking person were talking together. They probably wouldn't understand very much because of the language barrier. This thing was actually very funny to me because my husband is Chinese and I am Czech. So when we met, my Chinese was very poor and his English was kind of non-existent. So we communicated somehow with like body language, and also we were looking up the words in the dictionary and so on. But it's really hard, I have to say. Yeah, it's really hard when you don't use the same language. And it's the same with 5 love languages. When you are trying to express your love in a different way than the other person perceives it, then they might think that you are just doing things or saying things and you don't express your love with that. So it's really good to know about this. It can help you express your love and also understand other people's behavior. And the thing about love is that, according to Dr. Gary Chapman, everybody has a love tank. And when we were small, many of us had it kind of full because we could feel that we were loved, the fortunate of us. But then when we grow up, we also need to have it full. If we don't feel loved, we start behaving really weird. We start to seek it somewhere else, usually. And this happens to a lot of couples because after 2 years, when they were like in love, in that kind of hormonal state of love, I would say, then they kind of just like start behaving normally. They realize that they actually don't speak the same love language and they think that they don't love each other anymore, so they try to find it somewhere else. And this happens a lot because I think that our society in general teaches us that like being in love in that state when you have butterflies in your stomach, you know, that's the real love. And there's nothing else. You just need to feel this like excitement about this other person. And when you don't feel it anymore, then you are questioning it. Like, why? Why doesn't it happen anymore? Why they were really cool from the beginning, but then after some time, it's just like bland, you know? It's nothing, it's gray. So you become thinking, where is the love? Like, should I find somebody else? Because right now it doesn't work for me. And that's when the thought of 5 love languages comes, because it can really help you to find the lost love again. So what are the 5 love languages? Let's get into it. First of the love languages is words of affirmation. I chose it because I think it's the most obvious one probably, and later we will get to those which are not that obvious. So words of affirmation, it could be encouraging words, kind words, and there are also many kind of dialects in those 5 love languages in general. For some people it can be just I love you. Which is the most obvious one probably. For other people it can be something like really personal, like wow, you are really good in studying, or I love your cooking, or you look really great today. I need to say that when you have one of those 5 love languages, that one actually is the most encouraging for you. But then when somebody uses in a bad way, then it's most hurtful. And that's also for words. For example, when there is somebody who has this love language, I need to be careful about my words more than with other people, because they would take it more sensitively. Because for them, it's the words are the main thing. And when you are encouraging them, it's very positive for them. They feel loved. But then when you criticize them, they could feel unloved. They could feel hurt. So keep that in mind. This was really eye-opening for me too, because I didn't know that. And recently I realized that one of my family members has this love language as the primary love language, words of affirmation. And I found out why they were so sometimes like really weird or angry, because other family members, we all use a different love language, not words of affirmation. So we don't say like I love you or you are the best, you are cool, you look great or something. We don't use it that much. We express our love differently. So I think that this person felt kind of lonely. And when I think about it now, it's kind of sad for me to realize it when I am this old, you know. So it's really good to know what the love languages of your family members and of your loved ones, of your friends are, because you can behave according to that. You can express your love so they can feel it, they can sense it, and it can help you. So with words of affirmation, you need to know the person well to use it so that they can be happy after they hear it. For example, I like when people around me say something like, wow, you are so muscular, so firm legs, nice. Like, for example, my husband says this a lot, because I think he knows that I kind of like to hear it, because I exercise a lot, but then I'm kind of chubby, so I don't hear it a lot. But then when somebody says this to me, I'm like, yes, this is great. This feels great, you know. Also, the tone is very important. For example, when I say, wow, you are such a cool person, it sounds different than when I say, oh, you are such a cool person. Also, it's good to know that for many people, when they feel angry and somebody replies in kind of mild, welcoming tone, they feel that you listen to them, and that really matters. So let's talk about what not to do. It's bad words, so kind of reminding to the other person what they did wrong is actually a bad thing. Especially reminding it for a couple of times, many times after it's already done, it's a bad idea, because it shows that you didn't forgive to that person and they could feel really bad about it. So next of those 5 love languages is quality time. Quality time, what does it mean? It can mean first talking, just talking, be with the other person, looking into each other's eyes, you know, and focusing on each other. So it's the quality conversation. And then secondly, it also can be just doing things together, which one of you wanted to do and the other person was willing to do. So quality talking is good without our phones. We need to keep our phones down. And also it's good to show that we are interested in what other person thinks and what they say by asking questions and saying, oh, I see, you know, and this kind of stuff. So the main point of this conversation is just focus on other person. It's also important to say that for many people, it's not that when they say something to us, we need to directly give our advices, because sometimes they just really wanted to tell us so they can have the conversation with us and the nice time. And they didn't say it only because we would give them advice in like 1 minute or something, because it would cut the conversation. And also for the person who likes quality time, this means that you want to cut the conversation when you give advice in the first minute or so. So it's better to just like listen to them, ask questions, say that you want to understand and so on. And then you can also say what you think about it, of course. But if you give advice in the first minute, it's just like cutting the conversation and the conversation doesn't go anywhere. I know this because this is my primary love language, so I know it well. And And I'm very much excited about the conversation with my loved ones, and when I feel that they are really in it, focusing on what I want to say. And I know when they just want to solve the problem. I know this because my husband does this very often, and very often I just need to say like, stop, now you need to listen to me because there is much more I want to tell you, and then you can say something, What if I'm introverted? What if I haven't learned how to express myself? And what if I just don't know how to, talk about my feelings? In the book, there was a really cool exercise about it. And recently we are trying to apply it with my husband because he also doesn't talk very much. And he very often just says like he doesn't have any feelings, and he doesn't feel according to him. So this exercise, I think it's really cool because it can kind of connect his like rational way to his sensitive way. We are still trying it out, but I will tell you what it is about. So this technique, you should do it every day. It's that you need to write 3 things which happened to you, 3 events, and then you need to write what were your feelings about it. For example, today I went grocery shopping and they had cucumbers, so that's the event. And then, I really like cucumbers, so I was happy that they had like cucumbers on sale. Or today I went to the forest for a walk, and my feelings, I felt pretty relaxed. And another event, today I was cooking, and feelings, it was really bad. Yeah. You can keep these notes on your phone or even like in your notebook or somewhere. And it's about writing every day 3 events and 3 feelings. So this is the first step. And then the next step is that you talk about those events and feelings. So, for example, when you come back from work, then you go to your loved one and you talk to them and you ask them like how they felt and how they have been and so on. And they can ask you like what happened, and then you can just like take your phone and there are already 3 events and 3 feelings. So this is pretty cool. We do that now with my husband. He often forgets about this, so I need to remind him. But that's the thing. In the relationship, I think you usually need to remind the other person what you need from them, because otherwise they don't remember it. Because life is just so complicated to remember everything. But I think it's okay. So this kind of technique can help to those couples also who are kind of like, one of them is very, very talkative and the other person is very calm. So this can help them kind of reconnect. So about quality activities. It's something that at least one person wants to do it. The other person is willing to do it. And third, both of them know why they are doing this. So those quality activities could be hiking, going to the zoo, going to the botanical garden, or just going out for dinner, going for a walk, going to the gym, going for swimming, even going for grocery shopping, to be honest. This can be also quality activity sometimes when you don't have time for anything else. Just like going together grocery shopping, if one of you enjoys it, then I think it's cool. Also, just like shopping in general, like shopping for clothes. Like this is very important for some people. And sometimes with this kind of language, when you do something for other person and you don't enjoy it at all, and you still do it without kind of hesitation, without complaining or something, then the other person can really feel that you are doing this for them and they appreciate it even more. So this is kind of a hack for you when you want to, I don't know, when you did something wrong or something, then you can just like make yourself do something which you don't enjoy and the other person is begging you for years. And if you do it without any complaining and you really try to actually enjoy it for the other person, then that's the best thing you can do, really. Now we are going to another love language, which is gifts. So if the other person has gifts as their primary love language, then you probably can consider giving them gifts not only on Christmas or on their birthday, but also just any day, and they will really appreciate it. They will enjoy it because it's not a must. It's that you really expressed that you love them. So the gift should kind of mirror your social status. It's usually not about the money. It's more about the thing that you actually thought about the person to give them the gift. But it would be really weird if somebody who was a millionaire gave their loved one a gift which was for $1 or $2. Then it would be considered kind of as a faux pas. But it also depends on your relationship and everything. And since we were small, we used to give gifts to our parents, to our moms, give them flowers we picked in the garden or somewhere. It's actually very important to know that when the gift has a special meaning, it's more meaningful. And here we come to the idea that all the 5 languages can be interlinked and they can have different meanings for different people. For example, sex can be also touch, but it also can be quality time, and it can also be a gift and also act of service. So many things are kind of interlinked, which is really cool. For some people, giving gifts can be kind of challenging because they are more like saving people and they like to save money. But first of all, gift doesn't have to be expensive. And second of all, take it as an investment to your relationship. Because when your loved one feels loved, then you also feel much better. And then your relationship flourishes and then everything gets better in your life, basically. Because the relationship is the core, is the base on which we are standing as people. As people, we need friends. As people, we kind of need some relationships. I'm not saying that everybody needs like a lover or something, but the main relationships are, I think, needed for everybody kind of. And then the next love language is acts of service. Acts of service is usually the most time-consuming. In service, there are also kind of different dialects, let's say. That means that if your primary love language is acts of service, then probably you know already like which services you need. So here it's also good to know the other person well, so you know how to basically help them. I also call it help because when somebody needs something, you can help them and they can appreciate it. For example, for some couples, it can be home chores, it can be just like washing laundry or cooking or cleaning or some other stuff. Or also, for example, for grandparents, this can be helping them around the house or helping them to solve a problem with their phone, for example, because they are not used to have smartphones. And this can really show them that you love them when you take your time and explain it to them and change something for them they don't like. So this also can be a quality time and also act of service. So a really interesting and funny thing in the book was that kind of in the history in the 70s, 80s, even maybe 90s, but not that much, but like 80s, there were kind of role models and roles in the families. So basically women had to, cook, clean and everything, and then men had to work, like women had to work too, but drive a car or something like this. So those were kind of role models. And then when children from those families got together, they were kind of also expecting this, kind of sometimes going against it, but sometimes expecting this. But with a new relationship, you had to kind of establish new roles, basically. But nowadays, it's much more complicated because there are so many more roles. It's not like that everybody can do everything, but basically we also come from different families, and those families were not only affected by those role models, but also they and we are also affected by TV, social media, stars, books and everything. So basically now the roles are much more confusing, and sometimes you really don't know what the other person would expect from you. So this is really cool too, because we need to talk about who will do what and when and everything. But I think it's really cool that we can establish our models now and that our society is much more open-minded. First, when I started dating my husband, it was already a few years ago, he used this language a lot. He would help me a lot because I hurt my knee that time and I couldn't walk well. It would hurt badly. So he helped me a lot carrying my things around, and I was very much appreciative to him, and it would mean a lot to me that somebody is helping me when I'm not feeling well. He would meet me and directly take my bag and carry it. I think that time I realized that I really loved him, and it meant a lot. It was a big deal. For example, also when we went to buy groceries, he was always the one who would carry the bag, and he was always the one who would help me get my stuff. So I knew that I could rely on him. And that time I somehow subconsciously realized that this is actually his love language. So the next love language is touch. This may be kind of more obvious to some of you. Many people say that their primary love language is touch because they like sex. But it's not only about sex in general, it's also about other things, about touching hands, touching fingers, hugging, caressing, and touching hair, and so on. So when you know that your loved one's primary language is touch, then you also need to know like what touch they like, because as I already mentioned, not everything is okay for everybody. You have to know the other person well, so you know that what is okay for them and what is not. So now, how to find your love language? So in the description below there is a link, and it goes to Dr. Gary Chapman's website, and there is a quiz which you can take and which can actually tell you what your love language is. So you can do it with your loved one, with your spouse, or with your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and you can find out how to behave to each other. So knowing what your love language is and what their love language is can really much help you to kind of establish again or to revive your love. Because when people feel loved, they tend to express their love more. So actually when you express your love, your loved ones will express it too. And then it can become kind of a habit of a very happy life. So understanding and applying 5 love languages can have a really big impact on your relationships, and it can change them in these ways. First, it can help you improve your communication, because when you understand each other better, then you can build this relationship about communication, and it can get easier and easier with the time. It can also strengthen your emotional connection, because now you kind of feel connected when you feel that the other person loves you, you love them, you are trying to overcome obstacles, and it becomes easier to establish this connection. It can also help you reduce stress, because we have to say our relationships are our base for our life, our safe environment. And when we have this environment which is judge-free, let's say, then we are prepared to live life to the fullest. It also can foster mutual respect, because with this method you realize that everybody is different, they have different needs and different expectations, and you learn how to respect each other in a better way. So overall, the 5 love languages technique can help you and your partner to have more fulfilling, more loving, and less stressful relationship. And this matters a lot. So also, if you take a quiz, or if you already know your love language, if you have any story about 5 love languages or about what made your relationship much better, let me know in the comments below, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!